Doctors are concerned about the health of Britain's Queen Elizabeth and have recommended that the 96-year-old monarch remains under medical supervision. On Wednesday, the Queen was forced to cancel a planned virtual meeting with senior ministers after being advised to rest by her doctors. The previous day, she had been pictured appointing Liz Truss as the country's new Prime Minister at her Scottish home, Balmoral Castle. We are now joined by our correspondent in London, Laura McInnesha-Wood. A very good day to you. Laura, what more can you tell us at this point in relation to the health of Queen Elizabeth? We do understand that family has indeed come to her side. So, of course, that tells us that this is something quite serious, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, the statement that was released by Buckingham Palace is pretty straightforward and to the point. It says the Queen's doctors are concerned for Her Majesty's health and have recommended she remain under medical supervision. It then also went on to say that the Queen's immediate family had been informed. We then found out that Prince Charles was travelling to Scotland. We understand that he has now arrived at Balmoral Castle in Scotland. Prince William was then known to be on his way, and now the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, so Prince Harry and Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, they are now understood to be travelling to Scotland. So clearly there is something that requires family members to be there, but we're not getting any further details other than that initial statement that has been published by Buckingham Palace.
It does, Laura, seem quite sudden. I mean, just I think 2 days ago, she was conducting those formalities, in connection with the Prime Minister, appointing of the new Prime Minister of Britain, Liz Truss. I mean, how did she appear at that time? I mean, people have been talking about the fact that she had seemed relatively okay. I mean, we saw pictures of her at the Jubilee. She seemed to be, in good spirits and well. So, one wonders, what's changed so quickly?
Yeah, exactly. And those pictures that were released on Tuesday of Her Majesty the Queen meeting the new Prime Minister, Liz Truss, showed her stood up. She did have her walking stick with her, leaning on that, but she was smiling. She had her glasses on, and she did appear, as you say, to be in relatively good health. There was some discoloration to her hand. If you look closely at that photo, there's some sort of purple bruising on that hand, leading many to wonder if she was having some kind of treatment, perhaps. But in terms of general appearance, she looked pretty happy. Now, you talked about the Jubilee there. Yes, we did see her appearing on the balcony of Buckingham Palace there to see the fly past those incredible RAF jets that flew over the palace. But over the course of that Jubilee celebration period, the Queen did make some last-minute changes to her plans, stepping back from a number of occasions, including deciding not to go to the Epsom Derby, a horse race that she is known to absolutely love. So there were plenty of people wondering maybe if she was tired, if this was for her comfort as well. And if we go back to that meeting that she had with Liz Truss, the Prime Minister, we know that happened at Balmoral Castle in Scotland rather than Buckingham Palace, because the decision was made not to get the Queen to travel from Scotland to London to try to keep her comfortable. She was trying to rest effectively, and then there was this last-minute decision as well for her to pull out of a virtual meeting with Privy Councillors yesterday that she was supposed to lead there, meeting new members of the new government. So there have been some shifts over the last few months, a few questions about her health, a sort of continued stepping back from all of those appointments that she normally has. And she's also been getting some of her members of the family to stand in for her, including Prince Charles, of course, who we saw at the opening of Parliament, which is normally one of the Queen's official jobs to do.
Yeah, while we're talking about family members, there's obviously, as you know, a huge interest around the Duke and Duchess, Meghan and Harry. And one wonders, when we're talking about family that is coming to her side, if there are we hearing anything regarding them and whether or not, they'd be coming from the US? Are they still in Europe? I mean, what are their movements at this point? And are they deciding, to also join the family at this time?
Well, yeah, so Harry and Meghan had come from the US to the United Kingdom. They sort of appeared at a few charity events in Manchester in the north of England first this week before they were supposed to head off to Germany, which they did for the Invictus Games. We understand then that they returned to the United Kingdom. They've been staying at Frogmore Cottage. That is their sort of official offered residence here in the United Kingdom. It's in the grounds of Windsor Castle, so that's where Her Majesty the Queen normally resides now after moving away from Buckingham Palace. And we do understand now that the couple are travelling to Scotland to be with the Queen at this time. Now, there's been a bit of a shift as well in terms of sort of royal placement, where people are living over the last few weeks. We've seen Prince William and his wife, Kate, the Duchess of Cambridge, deciding to leave Kensington Palace in the centre of London and move instead to Adelaide Cottage, also in the grounds of Windsor Castle, in what seems to be a resettling of them and their family and getting their children into new schools ahead of the new term. Now, there were questions about why that was happening. Many people wondering whether they wanted to be closer to their grandmother, because it is indeed in just walking distance from the castle. And this sort of reshuffling and repositioning of people is now raising a few further questions about whether they're sort of offering more support to her or whether there is indeed this concern for her health.
All right, Laura McInnes-Wood, thanks very much for that update. That's our correspondent in London talking to us about Queen Elizabeth. Of course, we are indeed getting those reports that doctors are concerned about the state of the Queen's health and have recommended that she remains under medical supervision. And of course, we are hearing at this time that family is indeed coming to be by her side. We'll certainly keep you updated on the story as and when we receive more information.